With car and factory emissions, China faces some very serious pollution problems. Not only are the country's environmental challenges a concern for public health, but its polluted reputation is a big worry for the Chinese government.
The situation is so politically bad, China is now racing against the clock to clean up its act. KEZI 9 News anchor Holly Menino has the story from China.
Eugene is a city known for its sustainable ways, and when the 2008 Olympics came to Beijing, this city too wanted to be recognized for its green efforts. With a population of 1.3 billion people, it's no wonder China has an unflattering reputation for being one of the world's major polluters.
China faces some pretty severe environmental challenges.
The country produces a quarter of the globe's carbon dioxide and is the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitter. This is a look at Shanghai's polluted skyline.
You couldn't really even see across the river to see the other side very well when we were there because of the smog level.
The Chinese government is trying to clear up the country's air along with its polluted reputation. That mission was evident during the 2008 Olympics in Beijing.
We promised IOC, the International Olympic Committee, will offer Green Olympics.
Just step into the former Olympic Village and you can see China's green efforts. The National Stadium, called the Bird's Nest, and the National Aquatic Center, nicknamed the Water Cube, are both green wonders. Besides building green venues, the Chinese government also tried to clear the air for the Olympic Games by controlling car emissions and moving factories.
We move all the factories out of Beijing City. And then if we cannot move them, and we close them to make sure there's no any industry, petrol come to the air.
But it will take much more besides building Olympic venues and moving factories. That's because you can trace much of China's pollution problem to traffic congestion and the vehicles that cause it.
In Shanghai, it's a perfect example. We put about 14,000 new cars on the road a month, and they're essentially new drivers.
Estimates show that carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon emissions come from cars, trucks, and buses. It wasn't always this way. 30 years ago, nearly everyone got around on bicycles. But it's a new century, and oil consumption in China is expected to rise 11.6 million barrels a day by 2020.
Have a very high density of buildings. And so a lot of those emissions end up getting funneled at very low levels, and the public health concerns are obviously greater because of that.
To clean up China's air and give the country a greener reputation, along with an economic boost, the country is trying something new.
China invests more or spends more on green technologies than the U.S.
Buck says last year, China spent twice as much as the rest of the world combined on installing wind turbines. The country is now the highest producer of solar panels, exporting more than it's installing in its own country.
About 2/3 of China's energy comes from coal, about 22% from petroleum, and about 3% from natural gas, and the rest are other various forms.
China's demand for energy is increasing exponentially, and the country's aware of that.
As it builds more and more coal-burning plants to produce electricity, it's adopting greener and cleaner technologies for doing that as quickly as it can.
And when it comes to recycling waste, China is making progress there too. Walking around Olympic Village, it's not uncommon to find these, a place where you can dispose of waste as well as recyclables. In Beijing, Holly Menino, KEZI 9 News.